We've got 1,000 different diagnoses and disease out there. They're just the weak link. They're all the result of one thing: stress. And you put enough stress on the chain, you put enough stress on the system, and one of the links breaks.
Well, many scientists believe we're under assault by another form of common pollution we may have underestimated. Invisible, odorless, silent, and potentially deadly. This form of pollution is everywhere. You can't escape it. Electromagnetic frequencies, EMFs, produced by most electrical devices, appliances, and the high-voltage power lines that surround us. Electromagnetic radiation, emitted by most wireless devices, and microwaves, the same energy frequencies we use to cook food in microwave ovens. But your microwave oven isn't the only source of pulsing microwave radiation that assaults you every second of every day. Television, telephone, and computer signals are transmitted by microwaves. Even some automatic garage door openers use microwaves to operate. Some environmentalists call this proliferation of EMFs electropollution, and one United States government agency warns that the levels Americans are exposed to every day without even being aware of it may be dangerous.
We are all living in a world where we are exposed to over 5 million times more electromagnetic pollution than our grandparents only 60 years ago. Even within our most sacred place, our home, we cannot hide or be immune from the effects of this microwave, radio, magnetic, electric, and gamma wave pollution. Even the electrical wiring in your own house is bombarding you and your family 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All these energy waves have a direct and measurable effect upon the human body's biological system, affecting everything from the way your body functions to what you think and the way you handle your daily life. The electrical wiring in our homes runs on an AC current, which currently operates on approximately 60 Hz frequency, the same frequency at which your brain thinks and operates a majority of its functions on. This conflicting frequency is heard by our brain and causes interference and confusion in your daily life.
Sanjay Gupta, MD, CNN Saturday and Sunday morning, 7:30 Eastern.
Hello, I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta. Welcome to the show. Today I'm taking a closer look at something that's become so closely woven into our lives, it's hard to imagine what we do without it. I'm talking about our cell phones.
Alright, I'm on my way.
If you've ever put a cell phone to your ear, you should listen to what neurosurgeon Dr. Keith Black has to say.
There's no way to say that cell phone use is safe. I think that the public has a right to know that there could be a potential risk. The public generally assumes that if one is selling something on the market, that we have had assurances that that device is safe.
With the advent of the mobile phone in the 1980s, came the need to build a network of antennas to support them. Since then, the telecom companies have erected over 5 million mobile phone masts around the world. But incredibly, prior to filling the air with microwave frequencies, they didn't conduct a single piece of research to ensure there wouldn't be any long-term health effects from such exposure.
So,
it's pretty ugly, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's constant as well. One thing you'll notice is it doesn't stop. It's 24/7. This is what's coming out of the mast. If you can see the mast, you're being exposed to it.
Right.
Frankly, even if you can't, you're being exposed to it if you're this distance away, because it'll pass through, concrete walls and things. It'll dampen it a bit, but not very much. If you're within 200-300 metres of the mast up there, this is what you're going to be exposed to 24/7.
When you can hear it, it changes everything.
It does.
Imagine if you could see it.
It'd be the equivalent of seeing a daily smog.
Yeah. So what if I try and make a call? Let me try and make a call.
If you try and make a phone call, it'll be almost constant, because it starts a proper sort of two-way high bandwidth transmission.
Okay, let's do that. Oh wow.
So as soon as it picks up, this is it trying to, and this is once it's on call mode, this is now what the phone's doing.
And that's waves going from my phone to the base station and then being transmitted from there.
And that's it's picked up.
That's horrible.
And that's basically what your phone's transmitting into your head all the time, that you've got it operational and you're using it for phone.
In 2001, a study conducted in Spain examined symptoms experienced by people living at various distances from cell phone towers. Now you might ask, who lives this close to cell antennas? The answer is quite a few people. This is an apartment building in Toronto showing 2 antennas on the roof. The man standing on the balcony is very close to both antennas. These antennas are constantly transmitting microwave radiation. The top floor of apartment buildings often have the highest exposure. According to the Spanish study, people who live within 300 meters of cell towers have an increase in these symptoms. Collectively, these symptoms are called electro-hypersensitivity. The symptoms in red are the ones we experience as we age, so I prefer to call this rapid aging syndrome. Indeed, many people who are electro-hypersensitive attribute their symptoms to aging or living a stressful lifestyle and have become accustomed to chronic ill health. The source of the electrosmog in the example I provided comes from antennas, but we use devices on a daily basis that also expose us to this radiation, including smart meters. I took a blood sample, placed it on a slide, and placed the slide under the microscope. This is what my blood looked like in my home, which is electromagnetically clean. After I used a computer for 70 minutes, and after I talked on a cordless phone for 10 minutes. The blood cells are sticking together and resemble a stack of coins. This is called rouleau formation and indicates unhealthy blood. It reminds us that aging starts at our cells. Electrosmog has also been associated with degenerative diseases like diabetes, various neurological disorders, heart problems causing an irregular or rapid heart rate, blood disorders. It's been shown to affect sperm, and it has been associated with various types of cancers. Degeneration starts at our cells.
Havis says Wi-Fi routers are like mini cell phone towers, and based on what some studies on cell phone tower exposure and cell phone use have found, she says Wi-Fi can be dangerous too.
The closest we can get are cell phones and cell phone towers, very similar frequencies, and we're finding it's making people sick.
Wi-Fi works through the transmission of radio waves between a router and a small transmitter in a computer.
Do you use either your cell phone, wireless game controller, or lap-held iPad for, say, 5 minutes a day? That's over 150 minutes a month exposure to the radiation from these devices. Imagine what these microwaves from your phone or device is doing to your brain or organs. Did you know your head can heat up by 7 degrees in just 4 minutes by holding a cell phone to your ear? Now, imagine what is happening to your brain, testicles, ovaries, pancreas, eyes, ears, and other organs and cells when you place a device next to them for, say, 30 minutes a day. That is around 15 hours a month. Studies have shown many children spend over 2 hours a day placing these dangerous products close to unprotected organs and fully exposed to the EMR and EMF waves. Maybe we should just forget about reproduction from this generation.
The greatest threat to health in this millennium is wireless technologies, without a doubt. If you look at the health of the cell, the most important thing about the cell is the cellular membrane. And there's receptor sites on the cellular membrane. And these receptor sites literally keep bacteria out, viruses out, and they keep microwaves out. And what happens is when the microwaves start to come into the cell, the receptor sites shut down. And it's literally saying, stay out because you're toxic. What happens, though, is we're exposed to the wireless forever. We drive along the highway. We encounter cell phone towers. We use our cell phones. We use computers. There's people that talk in restaurants and on airplanes, and everybody has cell phones. So the problem is you can't escape the wireless. So here's what happens. In sensitive people, and there's a lot of sensitive people out there, we're seeing a lot of chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia syndromes. We have no idea why they're caused. They're caused by electropollution. Because after the cells become shut down from the wireless, when they shut down, they don't allow the wireless to come in, but they keep hormones out, they keep vitamins out, they keep minerals out, and waste products stay in the cell. So the cell ages prematurely. When that happens, there's an influx of bacteria, we call them microbes, into the cell. Then the voltage of the cell goes down and it becomes sick. This is why our bodies get sick. Heavy metals will do it, trans fats will do it, chemicals will do it, but wireless is the #1 cause of inflammation of these cells. And when this happens, people get sick. So they go to the doctor saying, oh, I'm wireless. No, they don't say that. They come in and say, I have headache, I have chronic fatigue syndrome, my muscles are screaming, I have no energy, I have heart disease, I have cancer. This is what the wireless causes over time.
The type of radiation coming out of your cell phone is called non-ionizing. It's not like an X-ray, but more like a very low-powered microwave oven.
What microwave radiation does, in the most simplistic term, is very similar to what happens to your food when you put your food in a microwave oven. It's essentially cooking the brain.
In fact, Carlo found a strong connection between cell phone use and brain tumors, neurological disease, and genetic damage. The scientific evidence is mounting daily. Brain cancer is up 25% since cell phones became popular. Every year, there are 183,000 more cases in the U.S. alone. And this may just be the beginning. Like smoking and lead poisoning, the damage from electropollution is cumulative and may take years, even decades, to reveal itself. But every exposure may adversely affect your health. Several renowned neurosurgeons believe radiation from cell phones and other mobile devices are directly related to the 21% increase in brain tumors in children.
In 2011, the World Health Organization changed the danger rating of mobile phones, reclassing it as possibly carcinogenic to humans, based on an increased risk of contracting a geloma. the type of brain tumor associated with using a mobile phone. What was the catalyst for this abrupt change in status? There have been countless studies conducted into the possible health effects of mobile phones. Some showing an effect, some showing no effect. But the most conclusive came from Leonard Hardell. He has overseen the largest and most comprehensive piece of research ever conducted, combining his own work with that of others from around the world. From the early 1990s, they have investigated the phone habits of more than 2,000 people from around the world. People with tumours such as astrocytoma and acoustic neuroma, the brain tumours associated most with mobile phone use due to their proximity to the ear. Their findings are shocking. They concluded that mobile phone use does increase the risk of a brain tumour.
There are an estimated 270 million cell phone users in the United States, about 4 billion worldwide. I would venture to guess that almost everyone in this room uses a cell phone on a regular basis, and most of us don't give a second's thought that it could harm us in any way. However, a growing number of experts think there is cause for concern. Indeed, some international studies have suggested that people who use cell phones for more than 10 years are more likely to get tumors on the side of the head where they usually hold their phone. I hope today's hearing will begin to address that question. Our first witness is Dr. John Bucher, Associate Director of the National Toxicology Program, a cooperative effort between the National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, the CDCP, and the FDA to coordinate toxicological testing programs in the Department of Health and Human Services. Dr. Bucher, welcome to the committee, and please proceed.
Thank you. As you mentioned in your opening remarks, there's only been 10 or 12 years of exposure to these agents, and it's increasing dramatically. And there have been some hints recently that there is an increase in brain cancers in people who have used these cellular communication devices for a number of years.
How about the use of earphones to minimize risk?
I think that's a good idea.
If they can do this, it would be better to have some kind of device like this. Dr. Davis, you said in your testimony, again, following up on this, is that you said that Interphone has studied people who use phones heavily for a decade, has found that where persons have used phones heavily for a decade or longer, there is evidence of significantly increased risk, literally a doubled risk of malignant brain tumors. The one researcher to have studied young people who began using cell phones as teenagers, Professor Leonard Hardell of Sweden, has found that those who started to use cell phones heavily before age 20 have 4 to 6 times more brain tumors by the time they reach their 30s. Can we get some documentation on that study?
Absolutely. In fact, I want to also tell you, unfortunately, that there has been a history here that I think we need to recognize. When Professor Henry Lai and Singh developed the pioneering new technique for measuring DNA damage called the COMET assay that shows you a tail of DNA when it's damaged. When they developed that assay in 1994, they showed that radiofrequency exposure to brain cells of the rat could be damaging in terms of the COMET assay. The industry response, which has been documented and is in my book as well as other places, was this. First, they went to NIH and tried to get their funding revoked. Then they went to the journal that had accepted the article for publication.
Who they?
The industry working against seeing this work published. Then the same lobbyists tried to get the article unaccepted in a journal where it had been accepted. And finally, they hired other scientists to do advocacy research to try to invalidate the science. And when those scientists actually confirmed the work, it was never published.
What is the strongest evidence you have that exposure to a cell phone causes cancer?
The work that's been done on the COMET assay that shows double-strand breaks in DNA after exposure to cell phone radiation is very strong evidence experimentally. If we tie that with the human studies of Dr. Sadetsky and others that have looked at people who have 10 years of exposure or more, we put that together and we have strong evidence.
Dr. Davis, you said that a cell phone should not be kept any closer than an inch to your body. Is that what you said? I don't know where does that come from?
That actually comes from the BlackBerry manual as well as from the iPhone manual. If you read the manuals, which almost none of us does, that is what they say. So by calling for warning labels as I am simply calling to codify what the industry is currently telling us about cell phones.
And here's something else that might surprise you. The cell manufacturers themselves actually advise against putting the cell phone right next to your head or really anywhere in your body. Take a look, for example, with the iPhone 4. The safety instructions specifically say when using the iPhone near your body for voice calls, keep it at least 15 millimeters or 5/8 of an inch away from your body. And what if you're a BlackBerry user specifically? They also have safety guidelines. In this case, they say keep it 0.98 inches or 25 millimeters from your body, meaning your head or really even your pocket. Dr. Keith Black has been talking about this longer than many, but the voices joining him are becoming louder and more prominent. The city of San Francisco pushed for radiation warning labels on cell phones. The head of a prominent cancer research institute sent a memo to all employees urging them to limit cell phone use because of possible risk of cancer.
It's very, very hard to turn the clock back, if not impossible to turn the clock back. But we need to be aware of the adverse health effects so that we have the choice of taking precaution against the exposures, if that's what we wish to do, that's what we need to do.
So, how can you protect yourself in the wireless? Number one, be aware. Be aware that it's in the environment. Remember, you can't see it, you can't feel it. Take supplements like vitamin C, nattokinase. Text. All my kids text me messages. I don't want to talk to them on a cell phone. I don't want them to get the radiation, and I don't want the radiation. But look, if you have to use a cell phone, and we have to use them, don't place it next to your ear. Put it on a speakerphone. Speak 30 inches away. Talk this way. The hand's going to get a little radiation, but it's not going to go into your brain. And remember, the younger the person, the more radiation into the brain. So you mothers out there who have toddlers next to you, who are pushing toddlers in a carriage, and you're on the phone, and this phone's out here, it's going into your children. So again, awareness is curative.
Our bodies are comprised of billions of molecular cells held together by electronic bonds. Sometimes these molecules are held together by a weak bond and can split apart, resulting in an unstable molecule with an unpaired electron. This molecule is known as a free radical. Some free radicals occur normally in our bodies through metabolism. However, there are many environmental factors that can cause an excess of free radicals, such as pollution, radiation, cigarette smoke, and herbicides. In addition, stress, lack of exercise, and lack of sleep. These free radicals will start attacking healthy nearby cells in an attempt to replace their missing electron. When the attacked molecule loses its electron, it becomes a free radical itself. This can cause a chain reaction to occur, resulting in the disruption of millions of nearby molecules. This chain reaction is known as oxidative stress, and many experts agree that oxidative stress is thought to be leading causes for such things as arthritis, premature aging, edema, and leg swelling, hardening of the arteries, and even an increased susceptibility to cancers. We can see the results of this oxidation in our everyday environment, such as a rusting piece of metal or fruit that's exposed to air. Think about it. If you cut a piece of apple and leave it out in the open, in a very short period of time, you'll see the surface begin to turn brown. And that's how quickly oxidation occurs. Imagine this happening in your body. It is literally decaying otherwise healthy cells.
Scientists around the world now believe that free radicals could be the causal factor in every known disease, not just cancer.
So we all know the sun's energy is crucial for good health. But do you know that the Earth's energy is too? When we make direct contact with the surface of the Earth, our bodies receive a charge of energy that makes us feel better, fast. This is called earthing. You see, throughout history, people were always naturally absorbing the Earth's energy. But in today's world, we live most of our lives inside. And even when we do go outside, we usually wear shoes, which prevent us from connecting. So, of course, we often feel drained and achy, because we go days or even years without ever touching the Earth. But it doesn't have to be this way. You can start receiving the benefits of earthing by going barefoot outside. The more time, the better. This alone can be life-changing, and it's free.
Some of the most radical ideas are really the most simple. I mean, you look at grounding, for example, or earthing, putting your bare feet on the ground. You'll soak up lots of electrons because the Earth is negatively charged, and our bodies are so full of free radicals from, anything from heavy metals to air pollution to trans fats. I mean, our body is being inundated with, a firestorm of free radicals. So you've got to put the fire out. And you can put that fire out in many different ways. The earliest and the most primitive form of healing the body is putting your bare feet on the ground. I call it caveman medicine, or the barefoot revolution. When you go to a beach, or you take a beach vacation, or you go barefoot in the park, or you sleep in the park on your back, or you're looking at the stars at night and you're grounded, people say, I feel really good. And that's what it's all about. When you walk barefoot, you're literally soaking up millions of electrons in the body.
The concept is that when we're literally in touch with the Earth, we absorb electrons that help neutralize the free radicals in our body that damage our cells.
We're talking about walking barefoot in order to cure exhaustion and weight gain. There's some eyes rolling out there. I mean, I got to say, I think a lot of folks are going to say, this is where Dr. McCullough, he fell off the wagon on this one. I mean, who's doing this, and who gave this idea?
Well, it's because it's not simply walking barefoot. It's the devil's in the details. It's walking barefoot on the Earth. Huh. And the Earth is a massive source of free electrons, and when you do that, these electrons go into your body, and they help normalize a lot of the positive ions that are there that tend to accelerate oxidative damages and lead to things like free radicals.
Live blood analysis and electrosmog. We can learn much by looking at our blood under a microscope. This short video shows a macrophage, which is like a vacuum cleaner, engulfing bacteria among red blood cells. I decided to find out what my blood looked like. I pricked my finger, placed a drop of blood on a slide, and looked at it under the microscope. This is what I saw. The cells are round, some are separate, and a few are sticking together. Overall, fairly healthy looking blood. This testing was done in a clean electromagnetic environment, and I did not eat or drink before or during testing. I then worked on a computer for 70 minutes and looked at my blood again. This time, the cells are sticking together like stacked coins. This is called rouleau formation. Later that day, I used a cordless phone for 10 minutes and looked at my blood again. And this is what I saw. Very unhealthy looking blood. There are virtually no single cells. Most of the cells are now in rouleau formation. A doctor told me this is what she sees with cancer patients. What I learned is that my blood goes into rouleau formation when I use a computer or a mobile phone. This type of clumping interferes with the release of oxygen and the removal of waste products like carbon dioxide.
The capillaries are so narrow that red cells must squeeze through in single file, showing the importance of their elasticity.
What are the consequences of rouleau formation? Poor circulation resulting in lower oxygen transport to cells and reduced waste removal. What are the symptoms someone may experience? Headaches and fatigue, difficulty concentrating, numbness, tingling, and cold extremities, and possibly heart and blood pressure problems, including risk of stroke.
So you can detoxify the body. Whenever you take on electrons in the body, you're making the blood thinner. So instead of the blood being more like red ketchup, it becomes more like red wine. And we know that hypercoagulable states, sludgy blood, is the most common cause of stroke, heart attack, cancers, tumors, neurodegenerative disease, diabetes. There's so much toxins in our bloodstream, and our blood becomes so viscous, it becomes thick. When you put your feet on the ground, like I'm doing right now, and and my feet are on a ground that has been a little bit irrigated, it's a little bit wet, there's good conductivity, I am soaking up millions and millions of electrons right through my body. And these free electrons will intercept free radicals. And when this happens, the body has a shift. And in our experiments, we showed that within 2 seconds of grounding, you get a change in skin conductance. It's almost like a lie detector test. It happens quickly. And what grounding does, from the cardiac point of view, it improves heart rate variability. It absolutely improves, it shifts the sympathetic nervous system back to the point where our nervous system has more tranquility in it. We call it vagal stimulation. So I am so bullish on grounding as the most primitive, easiest, cheapest way of creating optimum health. Go barefoot in the park, walk on concrete, walk on the beach, walk on sand, go surfing. When you're golfing, take off your shoes for a little bit, ground. After you fly in an airplane, ground. When you do these things, you are really helping the body to achieve an optimal state of homeostasis.
We know that we need the sun for our bodies to make vitamin D. That's something we're all really familiar with. We also need the Earth's energy, and it does really important things in our body.
Clint Ober is a major reason why practitioners like Christy Weston now have a better understanding of how healing the Earth's energy can be. Ober is a retired cable TV executive who's funded a dozen studies on this topic over more than a decade.
The human body is primarily electrical. Our brain, our muscles, our heartbeat, our thought, everything is in our body is electrical first, chemical second. And so when we're standing on the Earth, we feel better because our body is electrically stable.
Ober's research was sparked by concern over how modern life has disconnected most of us from the Earth.
And for decades, we've looked at cholesterol as the #1 public health enemy. But now, new research, they're always bringing out new research that shows that high cholesterol is actually a good thing. So what's the deal? Health reporter Laurie Johnson is going to bring us the latest findings about fat.
A growing number of medical experts now say things like weight gain, heart disease, and other illnesses are not caused by cholesterol, but by something different called inflammation.
Chronic inflammation is probably one of the largest underlying causes for most of the diseases that are known today.
Hi, this is Dr. Mark Hyman. What's the one blood test you haven't heard about that could save your life? Welcome to my third Ultra Wellness blog. Today we're going to cover a critical system, inflammation and immune balance. This is a core system in the body that underlies almost all disease. Okay, so what's this simple blood test that can save your life? It's called C-reactive protein. And it's more important than cholesterol or blood pressure or any other test you could have to determine your risk of dying early and dying from heart disease, dementia, and cancer. And it's about hidden inflammation. It's not the inflammation that you know about when you have a sore throat or a sprained ankle or a rash. It's deep, hidden, smoldering inflammation that you can't tell you have. And the only way you know it is by getting a blood test. And it relates to every modern disease. Not just asthma and arthritis and infections and autoimmune disease, things you know about, but things like dementia and heart attacks and cancer and diabetes and obesity. These are all connected deeply to inflammation. So let's talk for a minute about the causes. The causes are rampant in our environment. Our diet. We have a very poor diet. We call it a standard American diet, and it's a diet full of sugar, trans fats, processed food, and lack of exercise. All of these promote inflammation. Stress, another big factor that causes inflammation. We know that stress is a big trigger for immune problems. Hidden allergens, things in our diet like gluten, dairy, we may not know we're eating, that are triggering allergic responses that create inflammation in our body. Hidden infections, even like bad gums and bad teeth, lead to heart disease in many cases. Toxins in our environment like mercury and lead, pesticides. And lastly, molds. All of these promote inflammation.
And, Clint had this incredible insight about using the earth as a way of healing the body. And I said to him, I said, look, all you got to do is show that earthing reduces inflammation, and you can sink your teeth into it, because inflammation is the root cause of coronary disease, cancer, thyroid disease, neurodegenerative disease, diabetes, you name it. Inflammation is the root cause of disease. But then there's hope on the horizon. And the hope is grounding. And what grounding does, it puts out the fire. It douses the fires of inflammation.
Earthing's proponents say this grounding can reduce inflammation, pain, and stress.
Earthing has actually received a patent as a method of preventing and reducing inflammation. What earthing specifically does is it helps to enhance circulation. So with increased circulation, now you have more energy, you have more nutrients, you're carrying away more wastes. So that has a tremendous positive effect on the body. In everything that I have been researching over the last 13 years, earthing is the one that stands out because it is so simple. Everyone can do it. All you need to do is either take your shoes off and go barefoot outside, or use an earthing product, and especially while you sleep.
We got a problem here, but we have a solution, And we got to share the solution with everybody. Just got to share it. And I have to tell you, it's got to start somewhere, And the way to start is everybody's got to get grounded. If you want to read a book, read it in your backyard, put your feet on the ground.
Microwaves, blow dryers, even alarm clocks. Many researchers say they emit frequencies that can cause health problems. But experts say we can coexist with the technology we depend on.
We live in a world where we're bombarded by these man-made frequencies.
Dr. Robert Blake says our bodies can be knocked out of balance by an overload of electromagnetic frequencies, or EMFs.
Studies that do exist and early on show how EMFs can disrupt the function of cells.
Dr. Blake says you can wear devices that can help protect you from EMFs. This is called a Q-Link. It's set at a natural frequency. Taekwondo instructor Darren Carr spends hours under fluorescent lights and on his cell phone. He says using a Q-Link improved his ability level.
I just felt like all the time I had a higher level of energy. Well, now to the new device that could protect you from mobile phone radiation. For more, I'm joined by Today Technology editor Charlie Brown. Good morning to you, Charlie.
Good morning, Lisa.
Now, this thing is called the Q-Link Mini.
Yeah,
what is
that's
it?
right. Well, it's a little 5-cent piece looking device. It's on the back of your phone. And the idea around it is, if I can just take you back, over the years of using mobile phones, we've had devices that repel and shield us from radiation. They were around sort of 10 years ago, and now we've got devices that take the phone away from your ears, such as an earpiece or USB, those kinds of devices, speakerphone. This is designed to transform the radiation that is coming into the phone, and that's through the signal, the antenna on the phone. Transform it from something that's potentially doing you harm to something that is more in tune with your body's natural frequencies. It's a very scientific idea. The theory is that radiation, you've spoken to a couple of brain surgeons, and they don't like people putting their phone next to their ear. They say it could potentially do damage.
Charlie Teo is always talking about that.
He's a big campaigner for that. Now, what this is designed to do is it doesn't actually repel the radiation away from the phone or anything like that. It transfers it. And so it sort of absorbs it through the device into the phone, into your body, and it's no longer doing your body harm.
Introducing the Q-Link Mini, your solution to electromagnetic radiation. The Q-Link Mini attaches easily to your mobile phone and other electronic devices to help give your body the strength and ability to cope with the negative effects mobile phone radiation puts on our bodies. Using a Q-Link Mini allows your body's energy system to function more efficiently in the presence of electromagnetic radiation. The test results show the energy system is totally balanced and strengthened and now operating at its best against the potentially harmful effects of mobile phone radiation. Sympathetic resonance technology powers the Q-Link product line and has been tested and proven over the past 20 years by respected doctors, scientists, health professionals from around the world, including Stanford University, London, the Wollongong University, Imperial College London and the University of Vienna. This graph shows that the brainwave was normalized in the presence of mobile phone radiation when using a Q-Link product. This is the result of scientific testing that was conducted at the Imperial College London and the University of Wollongong.
There is a field of energy, and this field of energy affects physicality. The concept of the biofield has been around for thousands of years. It's been called by different names: chi, ki, life force, prana, elan vital, etc. The National Institutes of Health in 1994 accredited this concept of a field of energy in and around each of our cells that regulates the homeostasis, regulates basically the well-being of that particular cell, which of course adds up to your whole body. Sympathetic resonance technology, or SRT, is a technology that enhances life-supporting energies and information in and around each and every one of our cells. The Q-Link enhances the biofield, which has the information for you to become more focused. The more you wear it, the more the benefits. We've got over 25 studies that show the effects of the Q-Link, so even if you don't feel it, there's blood tests that show that your blood morphology improves. There's tests we've done with brain waves that show that you're able to concentrate more easily, etc. And the other way that you notice it is by when you put it on, you might feel more energy. You might notice the effects in your lives.
Burton Goldberg, a PhD and author of the Definitive Guide to Alternative Medicine, is one of the most respected medical journalists in the land. Here's what he has to say about the Q-Link.
Being a medical journalist, I was able to read the studies that have been done by scientists with the Q-Link, seeing studies of blood that were removed from a patient and looked under a microscope before the Q-Link and after the Q-Link, and the results were astoundingly improved. There are other tests that have been used on the Q-Link known as heart rate variability, where it affects the autonomic nervous system. And after wearing the Q-Link, one's autonomic nervous system is far more healthy and normal and in homeostasis.
What is the secret weapon used by over 300 PGA Tour players to improve their health and lower their golf scores? The answer is a Q-Link pendant, the only scientifically proven high-tech performance aid to enhance both the mental and physical gain. Over 100 PGA tournaments have been won by Q-Link wearers since 2000. Q-Link golfers include the winning 2002 European Ryder Cup team and the 2002 British Open champion. Hundreds of tour players wear the Q-Link, but not a single player is paid to wear the Q-Link. In fact, Q-Link has unpaid testimonials from a host of top players. Let's hear from some of them.
I started wearing the Q-Link in June of 2002, and I shortly won the Michelob Championship at Kingsmill thereafter.
Put it on that week, and 5 days later, I set the all-time PGA Tour scoring record and shot 28 under and won the Phoenix Open by 8 shots.
Once I put Q-Link on, I had my best year.
I've won 5 times wearing the Q-Link.
My results have gone onward and upwards.
Wearing the Q-Link, now I got the lowest score on the PGA Tour.
You know, it's an individual thing, but I think the buzz is about it that it truly works, and that you got the top athletes in different professions that are wearing it and having great success with it. That carries a lot of weight with it.
Well, I've got the most stress on me at this point in my career. I've built a beach volleyball stadium in Queensland. I'm going for another gold medal in Beijing. I've built a house, and people say that I'm not as stressed as I used to be. So I've got more pressure with less stress. Obviously, it's the Q-Link. The Q-Link helps me get the best sleep, even though it's short. So I think it's very important to make sure that the stress, the sleep, eating the right foods, wearing the Q-Link gets you your best performance.
Mario Fenech here, the Falcon, and I've been wearing the Q-Link bracelet for the last 5 years, and you wouldn't believe it, the benefits to wearing the Q-Link bracelet. I have a lot of energy. I'm a mad gym man too, and I go to the gym and I find my recovery's outstanding. And guess what? I have the best night's sleep every night with my Q-Link. Q-Link now have got a Q-Link Mini. Q-Link Mini attaches to your mobile phone. It protects you and your family from the harmful effects of mobile phone radiation. Get the Q-Link Mini today.
Q-Link is so confident about the benefits you will experience that its black and white new design pendants come with a 90-day risk-free trial, so you have nothing to lose.